Welcome to Weemeyakwe, where we come from. This fall is an exciting time for the Shawnee homelands. 8 mound sites in various parts of Ohio, collectively known as the Hopewell Ceremonial Earthworks, are being considered for World Heritage inscription. World Heritage inscription is a big deal. The earthworks are approximately 2,000 years old and lie in the middle of the Shawnee homeland. If inscribed to the UNESCO World Heritage List, these sprawling earthworks that our Shawnee ancestors communed with and perhaps built will be acknowledged on the same level as places like the Great Pyramids of Giza, Machu Picchu, Stonehenge, the Grand Canyon, and closer to home, Cahokia Mounds. The United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, known as UNESCO, bestows the designation to a site, area, or landmark of significant cultural, natural, and historical value. Each nomination goes through a rigorous evaluation process conducted by the World Heritage Committee, which consists of representatives from different countries. The committee reviews a 300-page nomination dossier, assesses the site's value, and determines whether it meets criteria of official inscription for the World Heritage List. In mid-June, I traveled with our tribal historic preservation team to Ohio and witnessed their impressive scale firsthand. I also met with the site's current stewards from the Ohio History Connection and National Park Service. Key staff from these entities and Chief Glenna Wallace of the Eastern Shawnee Tribe talked about the nomination process and the significance of bringing the World Heritage designation to the Hopewell Mounds. To be considered for World Heritage status, a site must meet at least one of 10 criteria established by UNESCO. Dr. Brett Ruby, archaeologist and chief resource management for Hopewell Cultural National Historical Park, explains.
At Hopewell Culture National Historical Park, we preserve 6 of these mound and earthwork centers in Ross County, Ohio, about an hour's drive from here. And they are monumental earthworks different from the Serpent Mound in that they are not effigies, but they are geometric earthworks, circles, squares, octagons of incredible scope. I mean, these places encompass hundreds of acres, literally miles of earthen walls from 3 to 12 or 20 feet tall that mark these places. So there's 2 criteria under which these are being nominated to the World Heritage List. And there's a set of 10 criteria that one might select from. We selected 2 criteria that these sites really manifest. And the first criteria is these are works of human creative genius. And that's reflected in the monumental scale and the geometric precision and the astronomical alignments of these geometric earthworks. So those are some of the attributes that reflect that human creative genius. And the second criteria that we selected was that these sites bear unique or exceptional testimony to a remarkable cultural tradition that, in this case, is a historical tradition lived in the past, but has resonance today in the present and continuations into the present. Hopewell Ceremonial Earthworks says, if we think of these sacred American Indian places, these are all parts of an ancient and enduring tradition of marking sacred places on the landscape that goes back, begins at least 5,000 years ago at places like Watson Brake in the lower Mississippi Valley. It continues 3,500 years ago at a place called Poverty Point, which is a World Heritage Site in Louisiana. It reaches a crescendo in Hopewell times about 2,000 years ago. It continues again at 1,000 years ago at a place called Cahokia, you might have heard of, which is another World Heritage Site. And it continues today at places like the White Oak Ceremonial Grounds in Oklahoma. And these are all places that are part of this ancient and enduring tradition.
Well, Brett said there were 10 criteria that you could meet. And early on I said, hell, we can do all 10.
This is Dr. Brad Lepper, Senior Archaeologist for the Ohio History Connections World Heritage Program.
We can meet all 10. And of course, the Department of the Interior quickly said, you don't get extra points for meeting more of the criteria. You just have to meet one. And then you have a second one as a backup. If you have all 10, then you have to write 10 times as much stuff. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, I really thought they were that these sites are that awesome that they could meet all 10.
Here's Chief Glenna Wallace with her experience at the Newark Earthworks, which are part of this nomination.
I went to Newark Earthwork Mounds and had the surprise of my life. Found out there is a golf course on top of Newark Earthwork Mounds. Mounds are sacred to us.
Chief Wallace is referencing the Mound Builders Country Club, which has been operating since 1910.
Mounds they mean everything to us. Our ancestors built these. I don't say that they were Shawnees. I say Native Americans. But I know that my ancestors protected them. They revered them. They met there. They honored them. So they helped keep and preserve them. And they were having a golf tournament that day at Newark Earthwork Mounds. And here's this group of people who's wanting to just look at the Newark Earthwork Mounds. We had golf cart drivers yelling at us, saying, "Get back, get out of the way. We have a golf tournament today. Why don't you leave and come back some other day?" Well, you could go to Newark Earthwork Mounds. They close it one day a year for people to be able to go and see and view and get on Newark Earthwork Mounds. I never happened to be here that one day a year. And so we were told, we don't want you here. You don't belong here. We've got a golf tournament that we have to do. I understand their point of view. Ultimately, I made it to the viewing platform because of those experiences that I have had at Crowder College, because of all of the travel to 70 different countries, because of seeing World Heritage Site after World Heritage Site after World Heritage Site. When I walked up those wooden steps on that platform and looked out and saw what I saw, I knew that I was seeing the equivalent, if not something superior, to the Great Wall of China, to the pyramids in Egypt, to Mount Uluru in Australia, to the Colosseum, to the Acropolis. This was that marvelous. This is that sacred. And what has happened to it? There is a golf course on the top of it. People are walking and running everywhere and doing everything.
Mound Builder Country Club recently lost its legal claim to the site when Ohio Supreme Court ruled that Ohio History Connection can buy out the lease via eminent domain. World Heritage status would not only bring international recognition to these sites and the genius achievements of the native people who built them, the designation would also enable the site managers to protect and preserve them more scrupulously so they last many thousands of years to come. The World Heritage Committee is set to meet for final deliberations from September 10th through the 25th in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. My name is Greg Jones. I'm a travel citizen as well as the communications and media coordinator. These sites truly are something to see. I would encourage all citizens to stay tuned to the Shawnee media outlets as we bring more information about the Hopewell Ceremonial Earthworks. Thanks for listening, and Yahweh.